You know that feeling, right? That sense of dread when your AC starts making a weird noise during a brutal heat wave? Well, if you've ever been there, this one's for you. We're going to dive into why extreme climates put such an immense amount of stress on your home's HVAC system, and, way more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
And let's just start right here, because this quote just says it all. When your system dies at the worst possible moment, it's not some minor inconvenience. No way. It's a full-blown crisis. The stakes are incredibly high, and waiting is just not on the table. So you might be wondering, why do systems in some areas seem to fail so much more often? Well, it's not just about it being hot. It's really about this unique, kind of punishing combination of things that creates a literal perfect storm for your HVAC equipment.
And here's the thing. You've got this three-pronged attack. First, there's the relentless summer heat, just beating down day after day. Then, you have this constant assault of dust from dry conditions. And to top it all off, you get these wild temperature swings between seasons. Any one of these is tough on an HVAC system, but when you put them all together, it's just brutal.
Let's really zero in on that heat for a second. When the thermometer hits 105 degrees, your system isn't just working, it's an absolute overdrive. We're talking 12, maybe even 16 hours of nonstop runtime every single day just to keep your house from feeling like an oven. That kind of constant work puts an incredible amount of wear and tear on every single part inside that machine.
And this right here is the second part of that storm: dust. You get these strong, dry winds that are basically like a fine grit sandblaster, just coating the delicate metal fins on your outdoor unit. This isn't just a cosmetic problem. That blanket of dust basically suffocates the system. It can slash its ability to get rid of heat, cutting its efficiency by a staggering 30% or even more.
Okay, so we've seen the causes, this perfect storm of heat and dust. So how does that actually show up in your home? Well, let's look at the specific, super frustrating failures that happen because of it. This is the one that causes instant panic, isn't it? You feel air coming out of the vents, but it's lukewarm or just hot. It's the most obvious, gut-punching sign that your system has basically just surrendered to the heat.
And the reasons why? Well, they link right back to what we just talked about. Those coils are choked with dust, so they can't transfer heat. Or maybe the system is low on refrigerant from tiny leaks caused by all that constant vibration. Or, and this is the big one, the heart of the system, the compressor, is just plain worn out from fighting a nonstop battle against those insane temperatures.
Okay, here's another really common one, and it can be pretty destructive. You suddenly notice a drip, or worse, a whole puddle of water showing up out of nowhere near your indoor unit. What's going on there?
So what's actually happening is kind of gross. All that dust in the air gets sucked into your system, it mixes with the condensation, the humidity your AC is pulling out of the air, and it creates this thick, nasty sludge. This goo clogs up the drain line, and with nowhere else to go, the water backs up and spills right out, which can cause some serious damage to your ceilings and floors.
And hey, these problems aren't just for the summer. Picture this. It's been months, that first chilly night hits, you go to turn on the heat for the first time and nothing. Crickets. Why does it always seem to fail right when you need it the most?
Well, the reason is pretty simple. Sitting around doing nothing can be just as bad as being overworked. Parts like igniters can get brittle and just crack under the stress of firing up for the first time in months. Gas valves can get stuck shut. Basically, the whole system just seizes up after its long vacation.
Okay, that's enough doom and gloom about all the problems. Let's switch gears and talk about solutions. We're going to arm you with a few powerful, really easy to remember rules of thumb that the pros use that'll help you make much smarter decisions about your own system. First up is the $5,000 rule. It's a really simple little math equation to help you avoid throwing good money after bad on a dying system. So, for example, let's say your unit is 12 years old and it needs a $500 repair. You just multiply 12 times 500. You get $6,000. Since that number is over the $5,000 mark, that's a really strong sign that you're better off, financially, investing in a new, more efficient system. Now this next one is so simple, but it's absolutely crucial, especially if your power flickers on and off. It's called the 3-minute rule. See, when your AC shuts off, the refrigerant pressures inside are all unequal. If you restart it right away, you're forcing the compressor, the most expensive part in the whole system, to work against this immense pressure, and that can cause catastrophic damage. Just waiting 3 minutes lets those pressures even out and protects your compressor from a world of hurt.
This chart lays out that big decision perfectly. Repair or replace? Look, repairing has a lower cost up front, and it fixes the problem you have right now, which is great for a younger system.
But replacing, yeah, it costs more to start, but it solves those annoying recurring problems, it dramatically improves your energy bills, and honestly, it's almost always the smarter choice for systems that are over that 12 to 15-year-old mark, especially in these really harsh climates.
So let's say the time comes when you do need to call for help. I know it can feel a little intimidating, but a professional service call is actually a very straightforward, very transparent process. So let's kind of demystify it.
It really just boils down to these 3 simple steps. 1, you make the call, and a technician gets sent out. 2, they do a thorough diagnosis to find the real root cause, and then they give you a clear, upfront, written quote, no surprises. And 3, once you give the okay, they do the repair, and, this part is critical, they test the system to make sure it's working perfectly before they even think about leaving.
So, after looking at the climate, all the common failures, the rules, the solutions, what's the single most important lesson in all of this? It really all comes down to one core idea.
At the end of the day, it's this. In a climate that pushes your HVAC system to its absolute limits, being proactive is everything. Regular maintenance, it's not some optional expense. It's your #1 defense against a catastrophic breakdown in 105-degree heat. Trust me, it is always cheaper and way, way less stressful than making that panicked, reactive call for an emergency repair.
Which really just leaves us with this final question to think about. The next heat wave isn't a matter of if, but when. So, after everything we've talked about today, from dust-clogged coils to aging parts, is your system truly ready to handle what's coming?